Hello and welcome. You're watching the top Jewish news channel. My name is Michael Vילנסקי, and my guest today is Jacob Nagel, Brigadier General in Reserve, Senior Fellow at FDD, and a former National Security Advisor. Jacob, great to have you.
Thank you very much.
Jacob, I want to talk to you about the recent developments in the Gaza war. So first and foremost, we saw that the Israeli Prime Minister has stated that Israel also has to conduct an operation in Rafa city, which is the southern part of the Gaza Strip, bordering the border with Egypt. And we saw different kinds of opposition to that. We saw that Egypt said that it will be a very destructive decision for Israel, which can endanger Israel's peace agreement with Egypt, as we all know that Israel signed it with Egypt after the Judgment Day War, the Yom Kippur War in '73. Do you think that an operation in Rafah is necessary in the Gaza Strip?
First of all, even I think during our last talk I said so, and I'm writing so. Israel have what we call the cabinet, the war cabinet gave main three goals to Israel to fulfill. One of them is a total eliminating, distracting. You can write not winning, but we have to make sure that there is no Hamas in Gaza. You cannot achieve this goal, and of course, the second goal is to capture, eliminate, kill all of his leaders and those that participated in the massacre in October 7th, and then to bring, and to bring back the hostages from all of them back to Israel. Those three goals, and especially the first two cannot be fulfilled, but I think also the third one, without dealing with Rafa. Rafa is one of the three main parts or areas in Gaza that we should deal with. We started with the north. We broke the Hamas military power there. Now they are terror groups there, and we are still operating in the northern part of Gaza. We are operating very, very hard in the central part and in Khan Yunis, and we are coming to the end of it in few days. People again said January. I already said it will take until end of February, and there is the third one is the Rafa. So we are now in Gaza in all three levels of war. The one that we almost finished in the north, the one that we are in the middle and coming to the end in the central, and the one that we didn't even start in Rafa. Now in Rafa there are two things. First of all, there are still four groups of the Hamas that are still operating there. Out of his 24 battalions, there are 17 still working, 4 of them in Gaza, in Rafah. And there is also all the underground tunnels connecting between Egyptian Rafah and Gazan Rafah, and then through through Rafah to Khan Yunis, other places in Gaza. 95 to maybe more of the ammunition that was supplied in the past, and even now to Hamas comes from those tunnels between Egypt and Gaza. The Egyptians are doing as much as they can. It's not enough. So we'll have to take care of these two problems. First of all, to finish the dealing with Hamas in Rafah. They are still having forces there, and to make sure that there are no tunnels operating between Gaza and Rafah and Egypt for now and for the future. Yes, so in a long answer to a short question, there is no way to finish this war without dealing with Rafah and the crossing between Rafah and Egypt. Now, about the Egyptians, they are opposing it. It's legitimate. It's logic. But we are telling them that we will have to make sure that it will happen, and it will not affect their borders. They are afraid that the civilian refugees that are in Rafah will march toward the borders and will try to go into Egypt. They will have to stop them. The same for the tunnels. If they would do the job, we would not have to do it. But we have to do it. I hope it won't disturb. Maybe there will be some tensions. Maybe there will be from time to time, I don't know, calling of the ambassador. For the long run, Egypt needs this peace agreement with Israel, maybe even more than Israel. They are now in a very bad economic situation. They ask for a $10 billion a loan from the World Bank, so they need it as
Yaakov,
much
I
as
want to ask you about something you mentioned in your answer to me. You said that Hamas has 24 battalions, that 17 of them still exist. Yeah, they had 24 battalions. Well, structurally, they're consisted of 24 battalions, that 17 of them are still functional. And
no, 17 destroyed, 7 functional.
Okay, so 17 destroyed and 7 functioning. And in relation to that, if we look in a general view at Hamas, how hurt is Hamas since the 7th of October, since the beginning of the war? How much did damage Israel cause to this organization? We saw the news that Sinwar is disconnected from the organization. He's hiding in tunnels and he cannot contact the rest of Hamas to give orders because he's afraid of being located by Israel and killed. Really, what's going on in the organization?
So a very good question, and it really gives the picture of what happened during the last 4 months. People are looking surprised. You have to look on when we started, also on the plan of the IDF, and I'm sure you remember they talked with me. It started that it will take few months, 4 to 6 to 7 months, to dismantle and to hurt very much the Hamas. I call it the Hamas upper part of the Hamas, and then it will take years to clean and to make sure that there is no underground tunnels with Hamas. And at the end, even in the end, we will dismantle everything that Hamas have. Still, terror groups, terror cells can continue forever. You cannot eliminate things like this totally. Now, the Hamas suffered a big hit. As I said, about 2/3 of his military power not existing anymore as a military power. About 50%, maybe it's even more now, 55% of his personnel. He started the war with about 40,000 people. I don't like to call them warriors. I call them terrorists. Some people call them warriors. Out of these 40,000, about 10,000 killed, 10,000 wounded, and maybe 2, 3, 4,000 captured or disappeared, or I don't know what. So you have maybe still 40% of his people are still alive and functioning. They are not functioning in most of the Gaza areas as a military organization. They have this organization in Rafa. This is why in Rafa we should deal with them, because in Rafa they are still in a military organization with a group out that can make a lot of damages. So they suffered a big hit. Now their leaders, about 40-50% of the political echelon of Hamas were killed, and from the leaders we didn't succeed killing number 1s or 2s, but many of number 3s and many number 4, 5 battalion leaders, platoon leaders. Those all are really eliminated. Many of them eliminated, captures, wounded or dead. So the Hamas is now closing. We are closing on Hamas. This is why Sinwar is probably hiding underground in those very huge tunnels under Khan Yunis. We found their computer center now just in northern part of Gaza under UNRWA center. We found many of command and control tunnels underneath Khan Yunis. It was larger and bigger than we thought. Larger and bigger. Maybe we thought 400, 500 kilometers of tunnels, they have 800. We thought the width is such and such. Now we found some tunnels that they are so wide, so cars and jeeps and other things can go there freely. Many, at least 3 levels of depth 10, 20, then 40, then maybe 70-meter depths of tunnels for the command centers that their leadership is hiding. Unfortunately, they are hiding them there together with hostages. Very, very, very bad situation. We'll have to come into those places, and we'll have to make sure that the leaders does not exist, and we rescue the hostages. Now, the only way to rescue them, as I see it, even so I know some people think differently, it looks like that the only way to really achieve this goal of bringing back those hostages to Israel is by putting a total pressure and continuous military pressure on Hamas, and then when Sinwar will feel that the sword is on his sword and is starting to feeling it, this is why he is disconnected, he's running from place to place, because he knows that we are locating him every place that he is there. This is exactly the only chance that he will come to the table and will understand that his demands are not realistic. You have to change them if you want to do something for himself, and then we can get back the hostages.
Thank you, Ya'akov. Again, thank also to all of our viewers that saw this interview. Please don't forget to subscribe to us here on YouTube and on all of our social media platforms. Thank you again. Have a great day.